So what's interesting in interviewing these young adults that we interviewed was how passionate they were about wanting to change the world, how passionate they were about serving the poor, how passionate they were about justice, all of these things that are huge, big biblical ideas. And they were very passionate about this. I mean, they cared about these things. They just weren't sure that Christians cared about them. They weren't sure that we were at all engaged or involved in this. And the truth is, you know, a large part of the Christian faith is engaged in these things, but that's not what they had heard about Christianity. What they heard was Christians were primarily concerned with making homosexuals feel small, with insisting on a certain literal interpretation of the book of Genesis, and with a kind of pie-in-the-sky sort of faith, and that Christians often weren't very caring. I don't think that's true of most Christians. I don't think that's how most churches are, but it's the perception many young adults have, and certainly there's just enough basis for that young adults can find evidence that that's how it is. I found young adults are interested in standing up for people that others push down. This is part of the issue with homosexuality. It's not only that young adults have friends who are gay, it's that young adults believe in standing up for people who are made to feel small. And when the church is making their friends feel small or making homosexual people feel small, these young adults, there's a sense of justice in them that says, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to care for these people that others are pushing down. And so at the very moment when the church thinks it's being the church and taking this sort of holy stand about, you know, this issue that we think is so important, young adults hear that and say, you guys, you know, the thing, you know, your pious pronouncements are hurting people. And we believe in standing up for people who are being hurt. And in this, young adults who are outside the church are often more like Jesus than the Christians who are making these pronouncements. We end up becoming the Pharisees Jesus opposed. And these young adults become more like Jesus, who stood up for the prostitutes and the tax collectors and the people who were made to feel small by the Pharisees of their day. You know, so many times I found the young adults' concerns actually looked more Christian than what they even realized. And so when the church begins to live its faith and begins to take seriously acting, and when Christians take seriously acting like Jesus, I think those young adults will say, that's what I've always felt. That's what I want to be like. And I think they'll find themselves drawn to Christ because the things that they're concerned about are all rooted and grounded in the gospel.